The Profitable First Retreat Lab. How to choose the right first retreat, sidestep costly mistakes, and start planning it the smart way, which we always want to do it the smart way, right? All right, so welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. This lab is for those of you who want to lead your first retreat, whether you're just building your business now or you already have a business and you're finally ready to create your very first retreat. And maybe, although you're really excited about the idea, you might be wondering, for example, what kind of retreat should you lead? Or how do you know if your retreat idea makes sense? Or what if you price it wrong? Or what if you leave out something really important? Or what if you create something beautiful, but not something that actually sells? And I've seen that plenty of times. Well, that is exactly what today is about, because by the end of our time together, my goal is to help you get clearer on the right first retreat for you, the biggest mistakes to avoid, and what it actually takes to create a retreat that's not just exciting, but also sells out and is profitable. That's the whole idea, right? So for the next 90 minutes, I want to invite you to be really here. Okay, that means you don't need to have perfect answers. You don't need to have your whole retreat figured out. You just need to bring your curiosity, your honesty, and your willingness to explore what might be possible. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'd love to take a minute to share why I am so passionate about retreats. Okay. So back in 1998, I was running a successful medical practice and surgical residency program. I had checked all the boxes of what should have made me feel accomplished. But instead of feeling fulfilled in my life, I felt stuck, like I was living someone else's life. And I was really living my parents' dream for me, not my own. Now, I had already had two divorces. I was unhappy practicing medicine, and I knew something had to change. And in a move my family still doesn't totally get, I went full blown midlife crisis. I sold my practice, my house, I packed up my life, and I put everything in storage. Now, I didn't really have a plan, just a deep knowing that something had to shift. And that's when I stumbled upon a retreat in Mexico led by Don Miguel Ruiz, the New York Times bestselling author of The Four Agreements. Anyone here a Four Agreements fan? Let me know. I'm just curious. If you have a four agree, okay. Sinai says yes. Karma says yes. Lindsay says, oh, yes. Okay, very good. I am glad because it's one of my most life-changing books. Okay, now I had never been on a retreat before, but I figured, why not? Worst case, if I hated it, I could always leave, right? What actually happened though was that the retreat flipped my whole world upside down in the best way possible, truly. And just like that, I was hooked on retreats. Because of that in person and life changing experience, I spent the next 8 years studying with Don Miguel. So let's take a minute and think about this. That retreat was a huge income generator for him, as yours should be for you. Because during those years, I literally signed up for every single thing he offered. So think about that. Now, during 2 of those 8 years, I was lucky enough to have had the privilege of designing and running all of his retreats. That experience of working for him lit a fire under me, and I saw firsthand how transformational retreats could be. And I wanted to help more people create them successfully. But I also saw a ton of retreat leaders struggling, losing money, canceling retreats, and feeling totally defeated. And that was not okay with me. So in 2003, I founded my travel company, Journeys of the Spirit, to run my own retreats through and to manage retreats for others. And then in 2014, through Wanderlust Entrepreneur, I started teaching coaches, healers, and leaders how to design, price, promote, and actually profit from their transformational retreats. Now, let's fast forward to today. Wanderlust Entrepreneur has actually trained over 25,000 retreat leaders. And since 2003, my travel company, Journeys of the Spirit, has planned and managed over 1,000 retreats worldwide. And we're just getting started because I fully believe that transformational leaders deserve to be well paid for their incredible work. And I'm here to make sure that they do. Because if you're here with me today, you know you're meant to lead successful retreats, retreats that fill and bring in a profit that you can actually live and thrive on. So let's take a second to go ahead and close all those extra tabs on your computer, silence your notifications, grab a notebook or your worksheet, and let's get your feet planted on the floor. I want you to take a deep breath. I want us to clear our mind, drop your shoulders, put one hand on your heart and one on your belly, and let's take 3 slow, deep breaths, okay? Let's take a second one. And as you exhale, I want you to let go of the pressure to get it right. Okay, one more breath. There we go. All right, because today is not about creating the perfect retreat. It is about helping you choose the right first retreat. Now, before we dive in, I want you to answer this question in your journal or on your worksheet. Okay, so I know everyone has their worksheet. Why do I feel called to lead a retreat? And why does leading a retreat matter to you? Okay, I'd like to know. You can write it on your worksheet. And if you have a second, could you put it in the chat? I'm very curious. Why? Why do you want to do a retreat? Let's see. Let everyone take a minute. Okay, Esty says make transformations happen. Absolutely, Esty. I love that. Eli and Elise say to create focus on the transformation outside of everyday life, like a reset. And don't we need that reset these days? I mean, the world is crazy. We all need a retreat. Okay, let's see what Gail says. I was once an overwhelmed nurse, and attending a retreat changed my life, and I want to do it to other nurses. Excellent, Gail. I love that. Being in healthcare myself, I know exactly what you mean. Nurses are brutalized, really. Francesca says to provide opportunities for clients to grow. Exactly. Exactly. Debbie says, because I know how transformational they are and I want to share the medicine. Awesome. Amber says, to get people into nature and to heal. I love that, Amber. Thank you. Cindy says, I help women begin to live again after loss. Wow, that's powerful. And to most impact them, a retreat is the perfect way for transformation. Absolutely, because we're taking them out of their environment, their everyday environment, right? Kate says to continue to help people in their healing process without the encumbrance of insurance. Wow, that's powerful, Kate. Michelle says, because Hypnotherapy transformed my life and I want to share it with others. Awesome. Jesse says, I exist in the intersection between Western and Eastern medicine, and I think people could benefit from this knowledge to support their healing. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Thank you, Jesse. Okay. Janice says, can I type on the workbook? Only if you had like Adobe, could you open it up and type in there? But you could write in a notebook the answers to the questions on the worksheet if you want to do that. Okay. Okay. Janice says it has the power to change lives. Exactly. Sarah says time to hold space for others in a larger capacity. Mm-hmm. Dorothy says, as a mom coach, I feel divinely called to lead retreats that heal, restore, empower, reconnect hearts and nature, transform lives spiritually. Very nice. Um, Zoom user says, this is my natural soul mission to help people and guiding them throughout life as I believe in abundance and prosperity in all life aspects. Wow, you guys are amazing. Thank you for sharing all of this. Okay, I'm going to continue to dive in, okay? But every one of you has written, like from a different perspective, exactly why retreats are so important. Do you see that? And you could just see all the different perspectives that you all have shared in posting in the chat, okay? Okay. Now, retreats matter because they create something increasingly rare in today's world, and that is real connection. And we're starving for that, I feel. Real connection, real presence, real trust, and real transformation. They give people the chance to step away from the noise, go deeper than they can do in their everyday life or online, and they come home changed. That is part of what makes retreats so powerful. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Just because retreats are powerful doesn't mean every retreat idea is a good first retreat. And that's what we're going to sort through today. So let's dive into why so many first retreats go wrong before they even launch. So, one of the reasons why so many first time retreat leaders stay stuck for months or even years is because they think they're not ready yet. They think, I don't know, I need a bigger audience. I need more confidence. I need more time. I need a more polished brand. I need to know everything before I begin. However, that's usually not the real issue. The real issue is that the retreat itself hasn't been thought through clearly enough. And because it hasn't been thought through clearly enough, people either feel stuck or overwhelmed. Okay. In other words, their idea becomes a little too ambitious. You know, we want to do everything right on our first retreat. And then they get stuck, or they get stuck on pricing because they're nervous about it, and rightly so. Or they get overwhelmed thinking about marketing it, or they have unrealistic expectations regarding the amount of time and resources needed to create and fill their retreat. Or they get concerned about the legalities because they're not sure what insurance or legal forms they need. So, on your worksheet, I want you guys to circle the top 2 items that feel most true for you right now. Okay. Is it, I don't know who my ideal client is? Is it, I'm not sure what kind of retreat I should lead first? Is it, I'm afraid I'll price it wrong? Is it, I'm worried I'm going to make a legal or logistical mistake? Or this is one of my favorite because I'm always a recovering perfectionist, but I tend to overcomplicate things, or I'm a perfectionist. Or I don't know if I should go in country or international. And the last one, I'm afraid I'll pour my heart into it and nobody will come. Okay. So now a few of you have already typed in. I would love to hear from you guys. What are your top two? So Kate says all of those. So I appreciate that, Kate. And Gail is saying pricing and that I'll make mistakes. Okay, I appreciate the honesty. There's no judgment in this room here. We're just trying to tell it like it is. Okay. All right. It looks like Lizbeth could use a link to the worksheet if somebody could post that for her. And then let's see. NamUs is the last one. Okay, so what you mean then is you're afraid you'll pour your heart into it and no one will come. Esty says, I'm afraid I'll price it wrong, international or in country. Hope is saying pricing. And Martin says, for me, I don't know what to do. That's fine. We just want honest answers here. Terry says, the last one. You'll pour your heart into it and no one will come. Okay. So, okay, we have legal requirements from Lexi. Lindsay says confidence in legalities. Dorothy says not sure of my client, leading to pricing anxiety, fear of non-attendance. Okay, fair enough. Maureen says she's not sure about her ideal client. And same thing for Aileen. Okay, very good. Thank you for the honesty, guys. Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate all the comments. I like Alia says, I overcomplicate things. I know what you mean. I really do. Cindy says, I know who my clients are, but I'm not sure how to find them. Fair enough. Okay, very good. Now, just as an aside, I just want to make this point. Keep in mind that your first retreat doesn't need to be your fanciest retreat, okay? Sometimes it's best to start simple and grow from there. However, it does need to be one that fits your current business, your current bandwidth, and your current level of readiness, okay? Because that's the retreat most likely to happen, okay? So let's talk about some of the mistakes retreat leaders make. So the first big mistake is a structural one. It's when you guys create a workshop in a pretty place instead of a true experiential retreat. It's when you say something like this, oh, Sherry, I'll take my people somewhere beautiful and do my so-and-so program there. Okay, just to be clear, there is nothing wrong with teaching your material on a retreat, but a true retreat is more than content delivery in another zip code. You hear what I'm saying? A retreat has a lot less content than you might expect. And the way that I see it, if you're stuffing people full of content, that is a workshop, not a retreat. Do you see the difference? Let me know if you're hearing me on this, because this is really, really important. Because listen, guys, if you do that, your folks are going to need a vacation after your retreat, and you do not want that. Okay? All right. Sahara says absolutely. Sona says totally get it. Okay, very good. Just wanted to make sure we're clear on that. Because look, everyone is calling everything a retreat today. Workshops, live events from the stage, everything is a retreat. No, not everything is a retreat. A retreat is a retreat, okay? And it is not a workshop in a pretty place, okay? Now, You want to give people enough to make a change in their life and then be excited to sign up for whatever program you have after the retreat to continue the work together. This is the piece that makes retreats really profitable. Okay. And remember before what I was saying that the first retreat I went on with Don Miguel Ruiz was so profitable for him because I love the retreat so much that I signed up for every training program he offered after that first retreat. And that, my friends, is what you want to happen when folks go on your retreat. Okay. Retreats are not standalone events. You cannot fix someone in one retreat. Am I right? They need follow up care. Now, a true retreat has a thoughtfully designed experience. It has a specific person it's created for. Okay, specific person. You have to have an ideal client. It cannot be for everyone. There needs to be a clear promise. In other words, what are they going to walk away with? You cannot have a retreat without a clear promise. You need a thoughtful, emotional, and transformational arc. In other words, how you're getting them from point A, which is suffering in some way, or they have an issue or a problem or something, to point B, where something is changed in their lives. So Sahara says, what if I don't have any programs to offer after? I'm a Reiki healer. Well, Sahara, maybe you have a community group. Maybe you have coaching. There are many things that you can offer after a retreat. Okay. All right. Now, you also in a retreat need activities that support the transformation. So the retreat is experiential. Again, we want to get away from a workshop or an event from the stage. We want to make the retreat deeply experiential. Okay. Now, there also needs to be time for integration and embodying the work. So that's why I'm saying don't overstuff your retreat. There also needs to be room for connection and community. So, for example, on that first retreat, several of my coaches from that first 4 agreements retreats are on my team in Wanderlust Entrepreneur. That was back in 1998. These are lifelong friends that you make, family. Okay, very important. And you need to have a pace that allows people to breathe, reflect, and truly shift. Okay, very, very important. If the location, activities, and flow don't get folks out of the classroom and what you've created is not experiential, then from my point of view, you don't have a retreat yet. For example, you might be keen on creating a retreat on a big cruise ship with daily sessions because you love cruising. However, let's say your ideal client needs a place to unwind, escape from life, and process some deep emotions that are weighing them down. Well, in this case, a cruise ship would be a big, noisy mismatch, and you'd have trouble filling it. But a glamping resort in the woods with forest bathing and sound healing might be just the thing. Can you guys see the difference? Let me know. Lakeisha, yes, there's a replay that you can watch, honey. Okay. Shalanda says yes. Let me know, guys. Am I clear? Let me know in the chat. Sarah says yes. Let me know. Okay, now I'm seeing making sense. Okay, I just want to make sure you guys are following and that I'm getting the point across here. Okay. So a good first retreat is not just one you'd love to attend. It's one that you can realistically design well, price well, market well, and lead well. And it's one that your ideal client wants to attend and has the time, bandwidth, and money to attend. So on your worksheet, I want you to answer this question. What would make your retreat feel like a true retreat experience instead of being a workshop in a pretty place? So, is it more time for connection than you previously thought? Is it more spaciousness and time to rest? Is it more aligned activities that help you teach your content? Is it more reflection and time to journal? Is it less overteaching, meaning you don't teach everything you know and overwhelm them with information? Because you need to teach less and let them experience more, more lounging, less learning. Okay. And will it be, maybe it's a stronger emotional journey that you need to take people on. Okay. Now, what is one thing that would make your retreat more experiential? Let's think about this for a second. Could you do, for example, guided forest bathing, sound baths, hiking, kayaking, rafting, visit some local natural spots, cultural immersions, energy work, dance, art, other creative activities, volunteering locally, stargazing, group ceremonies? What would it be to make your retreat more experiential? Okay, now I want you to think about this, and I want us to break out into groups. So small groups of 3. And I want you to share your answers to these 2 questions with each other. But first, please introduce yourself to the folks in your little group and share what you do before sharing your answers. Okay? So let's make some friends and let's see what ideas people have for their retreats. So, Nick, can you break everyone up into groups? Okay. And then we'll come back and we'll have some shares. Let's have some fun, guys. And
Have a
make
good everyone.
Thank you. All right.
Click your little button that says that you're going to go join the breakout room.
Thank you, Nick.
Off they go.
Yeah, and then Nick, if some people are alone, if you could, yeah, put them in another small group, that would be great. All right, everyone, hop into your groups. Let's have some fun. Sarah says she's at a track meet, unable to join a group. That's fun, honey. You can stay out of the group room if you want. We understand. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording while everyone's in the group.